So you might hear the winds blowing. It is something today. Anyhow, let me talk to you today about my revelation. So as you know, I've been at this for a long time, and I've had to demonstrate the understanding of what I preach on countless occasions. And I know because of experience, not because of theory or theosophy or theology or any of these, isms or ologies. I know because I have revealed the truth. So I want to talk to you about the law of changeless good. All right, and if you don't know my work, we are in a class right now, and I just covered the spiritual laws. And so with those spiritual laws, the lesson that we're going to do, it's week 4. It's a 4-week course, and there's 2 lessons every week. So this is the 7th lesson, and 7 is the spiritual path. So I wanted to share this today, and this is not because I planned it, but because God revealed it that this is the time. I want to talk to you about the law of changeless good. This is going to be a public training, not just for those who opted into the private workshop, okay? But it will be also for them as well, and we'll be able to talk one-on-one about it, and that's one of the benefits of doing that, is we work together and we interact with one another. Now, there are 2 facts with this law. Number 1 is that man is God's unfoldment. Man is God's unfoldment. What is my life purpose? What am I here to do? What am I supposed to be doing? Well, man, manifest, you, whether you're a woman or a man or whatever you identify with, you're still a manifest. Manifest means it's carried on the ship, it is on board, it is you. As the progeny of life itself, you're here to unfold the mind of God. So, means no fold in the mind of God. So, the idea here is that you're a fold. What is a fold? It is a... One second. I'm going to get you the proper definition. I wrote this down for you to see because you can't make this stuff up. All right? This is all inspired. This is all what you would call channeled. I'm in flow state. I don't think of this stuff. It just comes. All right? Now, look. A fold, in the etymology, is a pen or an enclosure for sheep. Meh, meh. What do they call you? When they laugh at you, they call you a sheep. And what does law in Black's Law Dictionary call a human? A domestic, an animal. An animal. Okay? So, the unfoldment, no, enclosure for a sheep in the mind. Okay? You let that set in. It means you're free. You're free from the enclosure of a domestic animal. What is a domestic animal? It's flesh, it's matter. It's the sin that we're talking about here. Evil has one job, tries at all points of deception to hide undisturbed God or undisturbed good. Forever unchanging, changeless God. Good. So evil tries to hide it at all turns. Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Genesis 1, man, spiritual, in heaven, never left heaven, always now space reflecting God. In other words, that is God's unfoldment. It's the reflection of God. God is looking at God's own thoughts and seeing his manifest as good and described all that God created as good. And then comes Genesis 2. Matter, states of hell, left brain, linear, logical, reasoning in time. This person, persona, the id, the ID, is a sheep living in a cage. The law of sin and death is that cage. It's a curse. Now, hiding the truth is the game. What hides the truth? Judgments, perceptions, 5 human senses, what you see, smell, hear, taste, and touch. This is reporting to you a world that is collapsing with hyperinflation and wars on the event horizon and pandemics and all kinds of treason and all kinds of problems that are happening in your world. This right here is trying to hide undisturbed good at every turn through the outer realms of deficiency, which Christ said in the Nag Hammadi library, he who has discovered himself has discovered that the world is not worthy of him. So the point here is are you going to discover yourself, or are you going to discover the logic and the reasoning of this world, born of flesh, of sin, cursed from the beginning, under the curse, in the law of sin and death? Because the outer realms of deficiency are trying to hide the truth. It says in the Gospel of Truth, in the Nag Hammadi library, they seek to bind those who are in the middle place. Purgatory is human reasoning because it is of the devil. Satan, the devil, is another word for fear. It is another word for fear. Fear hath brought you this suffering and this torment. Because the law of changeless good states that man is God's unfoldment. Man is the revealing of God to God for God's purposes in relationship. Did you hear that? Evil is human reasoning of the devil that tries at all points of deception, which means to look to the outer for a cause when there is nothing out there, to hide undisturbed good. The law of spirit sets you free and reveals the truth. So what do? Well, the first thing I do is I have to get my mind, my knowledge capacity, repenting back home, which is the last video I made. Please go watch the last video I made right in front of me all the whole time, or something like that I titled it. I will show you how I do this with my mind. This is segment number 2. I do sets. How can you learn how to do sets? Please, get my book. My book is called Trust, the Most Powerful Force in the Universe, and I reveal in it a whole plethora of techniques, but the most important one of them all is the self-entrainment technique, the set. Now, the set is engineered to be able to help you shift from here to here through the physiology and the memory stick body in order to lock in the vibrational resonance of a memory of a frequency that becomes the dominant state of heart when you lock it in through a set. So this is a protocol to get you here, to train you to stay here, and for you to become resistant in here to this place. And also sensitive when you are here to know your frequency, your scale, 0 to 10. If you slip, for instance today, I woke up at a joy that was a 2. Horrendous. I'm getting out of it right now. What happened? Well, I had some news that came to me about someone in my family who's not doing well, and it made me very, very sad, and I dropped my joy to a 2. Not acceptable. You see, evil sent that news through the carnal mind, trying to hide the undisturbed good and to cause me to come into this Genesis 2 man, into a matter position of living in the duality, believing that there is something that could have happened to God. See, this man knows that God alone is. Go to my last video and watch that. Man alone reflects God, period. That's all there is. This right here believes that something happened to a family member and evil came in and tried to hide the truth. But the real tell is the joy dropped within me. Now that is a horrible, horrible mistake, my friends. You allow this to happen, you have just agreed to be punished under the law of sin and death, because your frequency is in alignment with those realms, dropping down the scale into the pits of hell. The way out is to reflect the fruits of the Spirit and scale it up. I'm going to bring that to an 8 or a 10 right now, and I will literally be in another universe. And the faucet of good, the unfoldment of good, will be turned back on, and it will wash away the illusion that came from the carnal mind trying to trick me over here. Again, step 1, watch my last video I made. Step 2, get the book Trust, the Most Powerful Force in the Universe. #1 international bestseller on Amazon. Why? Because it's a few dollars and you get a whole course with it and the training on how to do sets. And if you're very serious about it, go to iamtruth.tv. You can get the sets, the book, autographed by me, and you can also upgrade and have VIP sessions, and I will teach you how to keep rooted in here in the vibration that you need to maintain. I don't know if I have to tell you this, but the spiritual battle that is going on right now requires your 24/7 attention to detail. And the detail is what frequency are you in, because that determines how this goes for you. You have one job, the unfoldment of good, through the repentance process to come back into this position, reflecting only what God knows to be true, and you will be protected. Read the 91st Psalm as your homework, and understand that it's talking about being under the shadow of the Almighty is this, right here. And then you can look at all of the benefits of doing that, all the promises in that Psalm. You should read that every day, because this is a war. And this is not a game. This is the real deal here. This is the take or break moment, okay? Sets are very, very powerful. I use them and I will use them, and that's my discovery for you that know how to use it. Do it. If you don't know how to use it, learn it, do it, and get serious about it. Because look, you come over here and you're going to know you're over here, because things are going to start going off very fast, off the rails, all right? When you get over here, this is what the psalmist talked about being under the protection of the Most High. It's over here. It's a consciousness. And it's forever yours. Forever yours. And it can never be taken away from you. It's a decision away. Your freedom from all of this suffering is a decision away. You might want to check your heart on this one. This man over here is innocent or blameless. Why? Because he doesn't exist. Because God is all that exists, and he reflects only what God is. So neither hath this man sinned nor his parents. This is the only man that Jesus beheld. That's how he healed. This is the only man that Jesus beheld. Blameless. How do you know that you're in the carnal mind? Your tell is guilt. You're being robbed. The enemy comes to rob, steal, and kill. How? The first way in is guilt. Guilt. What are you guilty about today? Might want to do a safe touch on that. Okay, another technique you're going to learn in that book. Might want to drop that guilt. Come back over here. See, if you are absorbing any guilt from anything outside of you, see, the accuser is Satan. Satan hides the good and then accuses you of having a role in it and puts you in hell through human reasoning. The human mind puts you in hell for the problem it creates by trying to hide the good, and beats you up for doing it. For doing what? For believing its lies through guilt. That's what the law in operation is. It's called self-condemnation. Is there a self to condemn if there is no you? There's only God, and you reflecting God? Now think for a minute. They say you have trillions of cells in your body. Well, what if the body of God, the body of Christ, is a spiritual idea called the imagination? And what if you never left that place of heaven? And what if you are like that cell in the body, therefore it is the body of a larger collective consciousness, the undisturbed good itself that knows no evil? And what if when you come over here, you're like a cancer in that body? What if? Well, what are you going to do about it? I did my first set. I'm at a 6 already. So, what do? I wait about 5 minutes each time. Check in again, 0 to 10. It's time to do another one. You need to get to an 8 plus, scaling up to get out of this. And you need to hold it. And you need to be militant about watching it. Because as soon as you start having any of this, oh, I could have done better. I should have done more. I just didn't invest in time. I'm just a little late to the party. I could have prayed better. I could have done... Please. I. The only I is the self of God reflecting its own manifest. It's the I am presence. That is the all immutable, all eternal, all sufficient, pervading, one life, one power, one presence, one mind. The I ego that humanizes, you see, counterfeits true reality with its own deception through matter, through the hypnosis of materialism, brings guilt, shame, and condemnation with it. The fruits of evil are suffering. So why don't we just do this? Why don't we just get rid of all this together? Don't ever adopt a story that is outside of God's undisturbed good story, his story. Your personal history is garbage. His story of eternal goodness is the only truth. Know the truth, and the truth sets you free because you agree with it.